Hey guys, karibuni sana to Flick on the Move podcast.
Karibu sana.
Hii ni mabuda.
Mabazu.
Hii story ya kusema mabuda ni kwambia achane nayo bana.
Mabazu.
Mababa.
Lakini wasaini
Fodas.
wasaini machias baba.
Machias baba.
Sisi ni machias baba. Hiyo nayo nakubali.
Wewe cheers baba.
Hizo jackets lazima tuvae. Hata ni venye leo kasola kamewaka. Ningekuja nako. Kana time nilikuwa nako.
Unakwangana kaingine hapo.
Kachias baba.
Ni hivi.
Ka yellow. Kwanza kako kwa gari. Sinivae tu.
Na yona tu anaitwanga tu siku tukichoma nyama unaona acha niende kwa gari nivae jacket. Anasema kachias baba, kachias baba.
Kumbe tu amejiwekea mathao.
Ni sawa bro.
Tunashukuru bana. Ni neema.
It's a convenience.
God has been gracious.
It's a convenience. It's a convenience jacket, eh?
Very convenient.
Very important one,
yeah, mzuri sana.
Na hiyo ni ile sana utasikia dema kwambia help me with your jacket. Ni cheers baba. Utampatia hiyo.
Cheers baba is not transferable.
I'm telling you, it's not transferable.
Okay.
It's only for the mans. But anyway, leo tuko na a very good discussion to have because we are picking it from the previous discussion. And you're talking about just growing up in Kenya and the experiences we shared. I felt like there was also a bit of mention of the parents involved. And there are lessons sasa sika wanaume tumelearn from our fathers. Of course kwa madhe kila mtu ameshapa amekula spankings enough.
Madhe ni zile slippers za bata.
Spankings umekula. Hiyo ni
unapigwa na usilie. Nisikie ukilia na unapigwa.
Ushaona ile
unavaa kulia kindani.
Kwanza ushaona ile unachunwa ile kama members wa church wako. Na unachunwa na unainuka na unalala.
Then there's
tunainuka.
Then there's the one I had someone say
hata alikuwa na daily worship session.
I had someone said kuna macho ulikuwa unapewa tu hivi. Just the eyes. Wageni wakiwa hapo unaangaliwa tu unasema things are going to be thick once this guest leave. Unaanza kwambia wageni msiende.
Ama si muende na mimi.
Muende na mimi.
By the hizo macho ulikuwa unapewa kama washa set table. Kuna mandazi fulani imekatwa hapo.
Kulikuwa na vyombo za wageni,
My mom still has them.
Ako nazo.
Na jaizi tumia.
You remember those
kwani apatangi wageni?
Cheki.
Anapatanga.
Nakumbuka ile kitu tulikuwa tunaitanga. Ilikuwa ni cabinet ama ni ile ilikuwa kwa nyumba big
wall unit.
Ni kabati.
Ilikuwa wall unit.
Inaitwa kabati bana. Unajua mimi hata nyinyi watu kwani
ujaribu kwa Kenya.
Wall unit zimeanza kutoka 2003-4.
Wall unit ziko
na ilikuwa na glass.
Ndio kulikuwa na kabati kwanza. Kulikuwa na kabati sikatai. Alafu nimekumbuka tu wall unit ziko kwa balki. Alafu ziko kwa sitting room na ziko na vyombo za wageni hapo ndani. Unakumbuka days.
Bedhe acha nikwambie kabati ilikuwa inabeba zile vyombo kama zenye unaona nyama mama. Zile metallic zile saizi ndo watu wanazitumia.
Saizi kwa fashionable.
Nyama mama iko ama ilifunga
bana.
Imagine they closed.
They closed.
They closed. Yeah, manze they had those unakupata ile crate. Unajua kitambo crate za soda by these zilikuwa za mbao.
Yeah. Nakumbuka bro, babe zilikuwa za mbao.
I remember.
Zilikuwa za mbao. Crate soda ilikuwa za mbao. Zilikuwa branded, imeandikwa wooden.
Coca-Cola.
Bana zilikuwa za mbao.
Iko.
Yes.
Iko.
Zilikuwa za mbao. Alafu hata unakumbuka mafuta ya kupika ilikuwa kwa mkebe ya chuma.
Pika kwa kimbo. Unakumbuka hiyo advert?
Mkebe ya chuma.
Kwa kimbo.
Mlikuwa unaweka kisu hivi unapiga hiyo kisu ndio
ilikuwa kama mafuta
inakata, alafu sasa mnaanza kukata pole pole hivi mkiinua.
Ilikuwa mafuta ilikuwa inapakiwa hivyo.
Manzejo. Alafu unakumbuka pia za Roiko wale madam walikuwa afro na matuta.
Wewe unakumbuka Roiko ikuanga Roiko, haikuwa ROYCO, ilikuanga nataka kujua miaka yenu. Ilikuanga ROIKO. That was the initial Roiko. Yeah, then they rebranded to now what you call the Roiko. Hiyo ilikuanga Roiko.
Mimi nakumbuka hata mafuta ile ya mademi ilikuwa inaitwa Pamela, ilikuwa kwa mkebe. Kale kama mkebe ulikuwa unafungwa hivi. Unakumbuka? Mkebe na ka soft dish.
I remember.
Na faa.
Unakumbuka Lady Gay?
Yolanda.
Imperial pia ilikuwa inakuja na hiyo kitu.
Yolanda ilikuwa
alafu na mafuta ilikuwa inaitwa Solea. Mnakumbuka mafuta Solea?
Solea ni legend bro. Solea bana.
Ulitumia Solea wewe?
Nilitumia Solea bro. Solea. Alafu Solea ilikuwa inapeleka hivi na Vaseline.
Alafu kuna sabuni nyingine ilikuanga nyeusi inaitwa Asepso. unakumbuka sepso
nakumbuka hiyo. Alafu pia kulikuanga na protex na rexona ilikuwa ikikuingia macho hizo days
manze ni kama ilikuanga ina kupanish
usikubali rexona ingie kwa macho yako man.
Kwani hizo sabuni zilikuwa tengenezwa nini? Na siku hizi mbona hatulii?
Sijui
tumekuwa resistant.
It's the
manze ungelia ati unalia kwa nini? Rexona
manze.
Alafu unakumbuka ile ilikuwa inapakwa kwa nywele, alafu walikuwa na advertise
gani hiyo?
Ilikuwa hair
Dax.
glow. No, kuna
Hair
moja
glow, hair glow.
alafu
Hair glow na Dax.
Hair glow Dax alafu nakumbuka hata hii lakini ya juzi the first sprays marolon kulikuwa nili kutoka Cobra.
Alafu kuna ingine ilikuwa inaitwa Miss. Unakumbuka Miss? Alafu Miss wanaanza kusema ni may I see Satan. Unakumbuka?
Miss ilikuwa noma.
Wazee wakasema ati Miss ni ya shetani bana. Ati may I see Satan.
Goody
manze goody. Alafu nakumbuka nini ya kwanza ilikuwa inatangwa nini? Sio kuna hii chewing ilikuwa inatangwa nini?
Gani before
gum, there is a big G, the original
bubble
big
gum.
yeah,
the original one was
unakumbuka the original big G?
yeah.
Mas that thing was something else
yeah, na ball gum bro, no
ball gum ile ilikuwa ngaya bob patco alafu na sweet za white tulikuwa nakulanga zilikuwa ni hizo patco za white
patco
na toffees pia.
Manze nakumbuka Christmas. Wacha niwaambie story ingine. Nakumbuka tukienda Christmas sessions ushago.
Yeah.
Si ndio? Si unajua siku mmevaa nguo mpya. We used to go for a church service. Sisi ni watu tumetoka Africa Inland Church. Watu wa Mutaratara.
Tumezoea hizo.
Since 1895. Sasa wacha nikuambie. So we used to go to church. So those days manze kulikuanga na community. I used to remember like mapero angekam unapata upero amekuja na sweets, mwingine amekuja na sweet tofauti. Then they are shared in church. Manze that ka experience. Alafu so unapata uko na patco, unapata umepata big G, umepata goody. Sasa uko na like uko umesotiwa uko na sorted manze. So unaanza kuzikula hiyo siku mpaka jioni.
Na zile balloons zilikuwa zinakam Christmas, unaona unatoa sticker hivi ukishinda unatoa ile balloon.
Manze tulianza kubet kitambo. Betting iliingia kwa system kitambo.
Hizo balloon unakumbuka?
Pata potea.
Alafu unapata kama balloon kadogo unakaa.
Alafu unapata ingine sijui shape inakaa aje. Alafu kuna msali alikuwa anaangukianga tu. By the betting culture kumbe sio kitu imeanza saa hii. Mlianza kubet kitambo. Alafu unanunua soda alafu mnapata chini kwa kipekee iko na another free one. Unakumbuka hiyo kitu?
Nakumbuka manze.
Those are good times.
Good times. So now as we look back then, you know, we're touching on lessons from our fathers. Nataka tuongee juu ya experience ya our parents wetu, especially our fathers, na zile experiences tulikuwa nazo na lessons to be learned from them, things that we can actually remember, we cherish, and what we have learned from them. So let's start by significant things that you remember from the upbringing you had with your father. What are the things that are so memorable to you? Jamaa mnafikiria sana bro.
No.
Si kufikiria, unajua nashindwa niseme nini na niwache. Nashindwa ni nini nitasema, nini nitaacha nje.
Unajua anaweza watch kitu so usiongee vitu mbaya hapa.
Abudangu atawatch, lazima aone. Mzae utawatch.
Usianze kusitua hapa
hii ni dedication.
Daddy issues hapa hivi dad.
Hii ni dedication bana.
So itabidi umeleta serviette.
Manze yeah, this is, I think for me this is manze hii ni real.
Unataka tissue bro? Real men cry.
Vistalia leo. Acha nijikaze, lakini acha nijikaze. Bado shida yako ni kushinda ukisema nana. Uchali uchomba. Okay, sasa I think for me the biggest lesson is I've seen my dad being selfless. I think manze sasa hivi nimegrow up ndo nasema mzae alikuwa na polizi vitu aje. How are you able to go to school? Manze you look back and you wonder manze, for me I think I've seen his dedication and he's selfless and it's something he does up to date. For me I think it's the selflessness that comes with it. I don't think I can even be able to match it. You can see it's a sacrifice. Like when you have issues, he's genuinely concerned about you. At times you wonder how will you help, but at least you see is as an effort to, and for me I think that's my biggest take home, the sacrifice and the fact that he's always been there for us. I was listening to another show the other day. Was it on Friday? The way African parents don't tell you they love you. but it's our culture, but you can see it through actions.
see
Sisi
through
ni
the
watu wa
actions.
matendo. Sisi hatusemi na kutenda, sisi tunatenda. You can see genuinely when your parents take care of, they care, like there's some care. At times even the things you're going through, they can't do anything about it, but there's that genuine concern.
Let's talk about the sacrifice of fathers, just that you brought it up, Gobs. What is your story of that sacrifice that you've seen?
You know, I lost my dad last year, and I know he's with our father, and I'm grateful. And for the things that I was able to see him doing, I saw a lot of sacrifices, and never did I see one day that he complained. You know, that for me stood out, because he kept on doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and making sure everybody was sorted. I saw him handle his brother's kids, akiwapeleka shule. You know, the way unasema tu you didn't know how they used to plan their math, but his math used to work.
His math was mathing.
It was mathing. You would eat, you'd be taken to the best schools. He would take other kids. Yani, by the time tulikuwa tunamzika, the whole community ilikuwa inasema, walikuwa natuambia sasa sisi asanteni, because of your dad, what we are today, it is because of your dad. And at that time, walikuwa over 1,000. And at that particular time, I was sitting back and looking like, how did he manage to sort us and sort these people? Walikuwa wananiambia babaka alikuwa na roho safi, clean. Na for him, education was one of his biggest thing. Alikuwa anasema kila mtu lazima asome. So I could see the sacrifices. Juzi tu ndo nilikuwa na access sasa kwa hizo salary alikuwa nalipwa. My God, 40k, 50k. But unasort kila mtu. Your brothers' kids, your kids. And hiyo sacrifice ilikuwa si jokes.
By the way, kuna kitu amjui. Wacha niwaambie hii story. By the way, kuna kitu amjui. Coincidentally, Sister Gobs alikuwa classmate wangu campus. Suzy.
Yes.
Bro, na mbona
Suzy,
umeruka
shout out.
chance ya kuwa relatives hapa ni aje bana bro?
Tulia nikwambie. So akisema hivyo,
Hawezi taka kuwa brother in law.
wewe wacha kuchomana. Mazi naongea kitu poa. Hebu we utafanya ni withdraw. Okay, what I'm saying is, nasema hivi, like I went to the same, tulikuwa kampo na sister and those days tulikuwa in a parallel program. That means hatukuwa regular. We were self-sponsored. Na mwa university walikuwa na upuzi, walikuwa na kitu walikuwa naita ati regular na parallel. So kulikuwa PSSP. Mpaka mnapewa different. Manzi mbona walikuwa na discrimination hawa? So we used to have our registration numbers ilikuwa badala, the others were BTM/21 yetu ilikuwa BTM/10. Ulikuwa unaongezewa 10 sijui ilikuwa kumaanisha ulipatanga marks kidogo shule but ilikuwa 10 then you are now your registration number. So ungepata mko class moja na msako BTM/21/06. Nimesema ile miaka nilikuwa shule. So ungepata mwingine BTM/1020/06. So unashinda hii 20 ni yani, like watu wanajua tu mko tofauti. And so when you talk about sacrifice, imenirudisha back even me, because I could see the sacrifice that my parents were making for me to go for a parallel university program.
I mean,
so kudos. So maze big up to your dad. For me,
you know, even when you're saying that, I just realized that I was actually missing out on uni because alikuwa sasa na exit job. Na vile time alikuwa na exit job, your time mimi nilikuwa last born. So there was no funds. But alikuwa ananiambia I have helped people. Yani pesa yetu yote ilienda kwa kueducate watu. And that time nilikuwa na ile opportunity ya kwanza kujam. Mbona kuweka do yangu nini? But only later on is to come and understand that he was trying to kill that mentality of not being educated so that his siblings could grow and every other thing. So I understand your sacrifice ni noma.
Norma.
I totally relate even when I think about my dad, because I've seen him help people beyond his family. I've seen him take care of relatives, because he was a bit privileged back then.
Yeah.
And our home, we always had relatives coming over, and he was taking care of them. He was educating children that were not his own. When you say, how did they really figure this thing out? It's a question that I always ponder, because he moved with us from Mombasa. Nilikutumia picha ya juzi.
Manze ulikuanga mweupe chali. Kumbe ilikuwa sola ya Mombasa.
Team light skin.
Msa alikuwa light skin bana. Umse.
Nilikutumia picha tukiwa
Caucasian hawezi jua.
Caucasian.
I was with my dad, my bro and my sis, Fort Jesus. Ilikuwa Fort Jesus ama ni wapi kwa Mombasa? Many years ago, and how we moved from there.
Na Mombasa,
we moved from there to Kericho. And sometimes I try and calculate, I try and calculate my dad's years. When this thing happened, how old was my dad? When I now look at my life now, I discover he did some things when he was pretty young for us as a family. Like he made certain sacrifices that was so enormous for us as a family. Because unajua wakati now we moved to Kericho, as far as it was like away from family, my dad would still sacrifice certain weekends that he would drive all the way to the village to take care of to just go and see his father, see his relatives. Like he would do those sacrifices. So we lived a life where we always had people around us, and my dad was helping them plus us. And you see the kind of sacrifice. Kama ni mazishi za ushago, hizo mavitu. And he was there. He was there. Tupaka kuna zingine na yeye bana. Tunaenda huko anafanya madonation. Yani I look back nasema manze umzejo. Yani how did they manage these things? It's crazy. Anyway, there's so much you can learn out of that sacrifice they made, man.
In fact, hiyo kitu umesema ati, kuna kitu umesema ati they were young.
Yeah.
In fact, today was when I was thinking about it during the service. Sijui mbona kitu yangu iliruka huko. Because I remember when I think someone was talking about 20 years ago. And then I remember I was in Form 3 20 years ago. And I tried to work on my age, and I realized that the age I am right now, it's the same age that my dad was. And the venye alikuanga mresponsible. Manze na kai bila sema manze saidi ningekuwa na mtu yako high school. Wait, nafanya hesabu. Unajua sasa like nikiwa high school ndio the age that the exact hiyo miaka ndio the exact age.
Ile age uko sahi
ndio the exact
ndio budako alikuwa akikupeleka high school.
Nikiwa form 3 wewe tulia. So now I'm trying so nafanya hizo hesabu niko like sahi ningekuwa naandikia barua dear parent. but I think for me they sacrificed. I think also I look back and I realized that one thing, because there's a day I had a conversation with my dad. I remember that time I was about to join uni. Yeah, it was in about 2005. Then we were having a conversation and he was telling us he had a chance. There's a time my dad had a chance.
Yeah.
I think to go to the UK to further his studies. Because my dad he's one guy who is really, he's sharp.
Yeah.
And he worked very diligently. So he had an opportunity. I think they had a scholarship at their place of work. He was supposed to go to the UK. And I remember my dad refused to go. He said that his kids were still young and he wanted to take care of his family. But another thing has made me realize that these people valued their families.
They did.
So my dad is, you know what, he's not very senior in his workplace, but you see what, I'm sure he's a happy guy and he's content.
Yeah.
Because the sacrifices made, he was there for his kids. And we grew up having him around us.
Yeah.
And I treasure that.
I remember how happy he was during your sister's graduation.
Yeah, you remember.
When she was graduating from medical
You were there,
medical
right?
school, yeah.
Manze Mzae.
He was the
happy.
happiest man.
Yeah, he was happy. He was happy because of the journey that he had taken. You know?
Yeah, man.
You know, they really sacrificed to see us through. Because also, another thing also, my sister was also she wasn't in the regular program.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the sacrifice was making to pay fees for her. For parallel. And you know, medicine, I think that time a semester was about 200K.
Yeah.
So, manze, I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? For me, I think that was a gift for them. The sacrifices that he made together with my mom, of course. But one thing I think, when I look back, I realized that right now, he could have maybe gone for his degree. He's gone for his master's, maybe PhD. He would be very senior in government. But I can tell you, I don't know how he would have replaced for the lost time when he wasn't around to be with us.
His family.
And I treasure that. And I really treasure that. So I think that sacrifice. So whenever he tells me that, you know what, and I appreciate when he says that, you know what, I sacrificed so that you guys could read. And I think it's something that has also made me get so immersed in reading. Because if you know, those who are around me know that I still am very ambitious about my academics. I want to do my PhD at some point.
In school doing this.
Yeah,
doing
right now even I'm in school, still in school by the way. But I usually say that I think that's one thing that makes me to go to conquer the studies. Yeah, because I've seen someone sacrifice for me to be where I am. So if I can go beyond, and then to a point whereby I can say that I'm not limited because someone paid a sacrifice for this.
Yeah. Okay.
And whatever I do, I try to ensure that nothing limits me. Because someone sacrificed so that you're not limited by anything and you don't have an excuse for anything in life today.
Amazing.
So we shouldn't be giving excuses for life because already someone has paid the price for you.
Absolutely.
What else did you want? You've been given good education. Like I think I was, just before I started shooting this podcast, we're having a story of how I moved from, because initially I was in Kisii school.
Alafu kuliendaje?
Wewe situlie kwanza nikupatie story.
Hiyo story hebu
situlie kwanza nikupatie story. Na mimi nikimaliza kuongea hapa siongei tena. Kwa najua nitakuwa nimechoma. So I was in Kisii school. I think I went to Kisii school from Form 1 to Form 4. Hey, we had a mega scandal. Say scandal.
Hey, scandal, bro.
So we call ourselves KYF because I saw it in the group the other day. Kisii Y something, because we had a school van donated by Senior Musa Chief Nyandusi. That is Nyachai's dad. It was KYF, I think 211. That was the registration. So now it was KYF 197. And you see, coincidentally, we were 197 students who got Ys. So we call ourselves KYF. KCSE. The thing was serious.
They were cancelled.
We were hammered with Ys for mathematics, chemistry and biology. Ungeepa. Kama ijakupata kwa ngoja nimalize. Kama ijakupata kwa mao, itakupata kwa chem. Kama ijakupata kwa chem, itakupata kwa bio. By the kila msali pata Y. Me I think too manze. Bado me still that was a very unfair decision. Because manze hata kuna boy moja, may rest in peace. Umse tulikuwa nasoma naye. But hata kufanyanga pepa zote. Manze hata hawa kuwa na huruma because I think alikuwa na cancer. So he just did a part of his papers. Manze umse pia alichapwa na Y.
Oh man, that's really
manze I think tu waliamua tu wase tu waliamua wanasotia wase wote. Manze tulikuwa na Y wote.
So you meant to repeat?
Yeah, we were meant to repeat. And I remember that time, even manze kwanza, one thing that broke my heart is that I think the dailies, manze like when my parents now went to pick the results for our high school, and then I could see my dad on the newspaper.
Yeah.
Manze amesimama hapo, unaona at parents from the students who got Ys, and I could see him in deep thoughts. Manze, that thing broke me.
A whole year gone.
Because now he was pigging a sub of how these guys going to back to school. You see, it's the parents who went to the school and they were now being told your kids have got Ys. And I could see my dad, I think it was in a newspaper, Daily Nation those days. And then he was just standing outside the principal's office. I think walipiga. Ilo unaonanga mtu ako in deep thought. But manze, that thing broke me, bana. And I think after that, my dad really sacrificed because we had another chance to go back to school, to the same school. But now it means we would be sharing even beds because there was no capacity. Simamaliza high school. Nyi watu wa 97 mnarudi wapi? Where are you going back to? Mnakuja kwa nani? Nyi ni mzigo. Alafu nyia mji kama ni wai mwaka ama ni wai mwaka ingine. So hata watu wajitangi kama ni ile mwaka tulifanya mtihani hatujua, hata hatujuangi. Is it class of 04? Is it class of 05?
Yeah.
So we had those issues. But what my dad did, I remember he left our home. Alienda kutafuta shule physically. He went to several schools trying to get me a slot.
And that's from Kisii?
Yes.
Because that time you guys were staying in Kisii.
Yes. Kutoka hiyo time, manza alitembea mashule. Kunitafutia shule. I think he potead for about 4 or 5 days. Kunitafutia shule. Unajua kila shule anaambia we don't accept guys in Form 4. So this guy has got to go back to Form 3. Anasema no. My son will go to Form 4. Akatembea. Finally he found a school in Nanyuki. May God bless Mr. and Mrs. Francis Madenge. They gave me a chance. So, because that was already late March. So hata registration hata zishaanza kufungwa. Unajua maze hizo skuli zazi zilikuwa zinatokanga March. Unaelewa? So maze they gave me a chance. So I went to Brickwoods High School. Manze kuangalia fees. My friend, I don't know how my dad paid that fees. I don't know how my parents were paying that fee, by the way. Sijui. Sito ile shule ilikuwa nasema tulienda. Nimetoka place na kulanga skuma na kulanga ugali na maharagwe. Na alafu skuma imekatwa na panga. Tulikuwa na kukalikuwa inaitangwa termite. Termite alikuwa anashika skuma moja na mtandika mara 5. That's in Kisii school. inatandikwa mara 5 hivi. So manze ukikula unapata tulikuwa nakula bitter herbs. Manze mkengaji manze literally when the kids watoto wa Israeli wakitoka Egypt manze I think hizo walikuwa nakula. We ate those veggies for 4 years. You can imagine.
I know, man.
So manze you've gone to a school whereby manze you eat chapo. Hey. Kuna sauce me that was too much. Washika my god of too much. This is my god of too much. Alafu manze kuna chezo golf. God, this is too much. Tunavaa jeans weekend shule.
This is too
God,
much.
This is too much.
This is too much.
It is too much. Ati unaweza ongea na mwalimu kama kitu cha kubamba na mwambie excuse me teacher, I'm not understood. Ama teacher, mnakaa hivi class mwalimu akiona mtu ako sleep anamwambia please walk out, go wash your face. Manze kwingine tulikuanga tunafunza na wale mwingine high school tukiwa Kisii school. Manze ungeyon, ungekula makofi because utafanya kila mtu ayon class. So this is where I moved.
Kila mtu.
Manze kwanza alikuanga Muhindi. Anasema alituingianga class kwa kwanza tukiwa form anakatambia number 1 you don't yawn in my class. You don't yawn in my class. Manze nafikiri ufungwangi your desk akiwa class. So by the time she comes to class if you need a rubber figure that out. If you need an eraser, sorry, not a rubber, an eraser, if you need a sharpener, if you need a pencil, if you need your textbook, make sure they're on the table because you don't open your desk when the class is going on.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Wacha nimalizie kidogo tu. So after that, so I try to figure out and I ask myself, siangesema tu msarudi tu kuko. But I can tell there was a sacrifice to it. And my parents used to drive all the way, man, to come and see me in high school. Manze. So those are sacrifices. So those are things I've learned.
Oh my goodness.
Over to you, Gobs.
Hey, man. There's a lot. But what I noticed about my father that he was ever present. There's no single day he missed out. Ever present. From birth to every aspect of my life and my siblings' life. Ever present. And you look at it right now, not so many, I mean, at least you are present for your family, for Zeke can be able to see you. Not so many families have that right now.
Yeah.
But if you look at Kitambo, they were ever present. Ati kweni ngori gani, mzee atakuwa hapo. And for me, bado natafuta tu hiyo formula vile walikuwa napiga hiyo hesabu.
Math ilikuwa ina math manze.
Because they used to get it right. They used to get it right. And I would see how he would move to different locations in terms of job. Ana move Kisii, ana move wapi. Si ametuacha Kisumu because sasa linunua nyumba Kisumu. We built our own house huko. So we were there. But he would come over the weekend. Anaingia kitu kama Saturday. Amekaa na nyinyi Saturday jioni. Sunday, Monday asubuhi ndio huyo tena ametoka. Unamka hivi unaenda kwa bedroom unaenda kuguza kitanda yake hayuko. But kuna moments wenye sasa pia alikuwa anatuticha kitoka mnaenda kumbid. Bye. And I bless the Lord because as he left he came back. We were able to see him the next time and next time and next time and next time until when he slept. Hizo vitu I don't take them for granted saa hizi. Budango alistruggle na mimi na shule. Nilikuwa kurutu pia.
We misi kwa kurutu. Unaacha kuongeza pia. Wacha kuongeza pia.
Kuna mse alikuwa kirutu. Kirutu.
Hata mimi najua kuna jamaa alitesa watu.
Mimi nilikuwa siu kutoka form 1.
Siu yako imeanza kuchemka tu saa hizi. Hebu ilikuwa siu ya doba huko hivyo. Awolan shata. So nilikuwa hiyo place. Mzaya alinifundisha kupika. First time. Chapo. My dad used to be a hands-on guy bana. That jama used to be hands-on dishes. Chapo, nyama, ugali. Kwanza ugali tulikuwa tunapiga ni ile ya brown. Na unajua vile kitu ilikuwa inatoka na moshi. So nilikuwa class nakumbuka. Class 5 hapo class 4. niliweka hiyo program.
Ulikuwa msongi already. Anasonga kusonga.
Songi bana. So when I remember those moments akiniambia this is how you cook, this is how you do it, angalia moto, weka jiko nje, na yako hapo, alafu anaosha mavyombo, and then he serves. Akisha serve naambiwa niende ni set table. Set table, family inakam. Kwanza kuna pork fulani alikuwa ananifundisha hapo kupika. Alafu inakuja na apilo.
Nyinyi mlikuwa mnakulanga nguruwe hizo siku?
Sema apilo.
Nguruwe ilikuwa dhambi bana.
Lakini pia wewe aleki unafanya ikadi kama ulikuwa na shida zingine.
Kwani kama nguruwe ili exist time ya Jesus, unasema
it's almost like everything is a surprise.
Mwanani surprise.
kulikuwa na apilo. Google, that's English. Google apilo, unaweka hapo, alafu tulikuwa na tray fulani hapo tunaweka katikati, kila mtu anakuja. And then he had a certain phrase anasema, you're eating where you did not sow. You're reaping.
Ndio ukumbuke.
I try to talk. You're reaping where you did not sow, but anasema endeleeni tu.
Lakini endeleeni kula bana.
Endeleeni kula. Wow, so those were very personal moments. Amazing. with him.
Amazing.
And hata saizi if I look back and the way food kila kitu na prepare, it's out of him.
Hata vile unapenda kudishi pia.
Kudishi
pale hivyo. But it's interesting when you talk about those things because my dad was really into barbecuing a lot. Almost every Sunday buda ilikuwa barbecue. Na nimeenda kwa hivyo, si ndio?
Napenda chakula imepikwa kwa moshi.
Msali kwa niambia kwa simu unachoma nyama sana wewe.
Bado unapenda kuchoma nyama?
Napenda kuchoma nyama manze. Sini from lessons from my father. Yeah, but also pia niko na consumer pale wangu. So unajua nani? Anaitwa Ayuma.
Ayuyu.
Yeah, but I mean those are really nice stories when I've heard you guys talk about sacrifices. Yeah. And I know if I was to talk about sacrifices, I cannot even finish the things that were my dad did for me. But I relate a bit with your story in high school.
Yako iko level ingine. Sio ati una relate a bit. Sema ukweli brother.
Na si tu remix hapo.
Na usicheze tunakujua. Sema tu ukweli.
Acha niseme tu ukweli.
You shall overcome by your testimony.
Maze kuna time in my life nilikuwa nimekuwa wayward kid.
Right in the highway.
Nilikuwa nimekuwa mtoi wayward and nilikuwa into pale of course my drugs hivi, kwenda masherehe sana nikiwa high school by the way. Alafu of course you know you get into the wrong company and of course una try kulive your life your bad boy. Unaweza imagine nilikuwa babu nimetoka Tigoni lakini nikifika shule ati mimi mnati na kamseti nimetoka na kamras na kanikani ati nimetoka Kibich ama nimetoka sijui Huruma na nimetoka Tigoni na hii una try kufitin sana pale hizo ma jeans kwa zinaitwa mapipe na unapiga na Sahara na kaleka jacket kalikuwa inaitwa starter na kakofia tisa mnaenda reggae
starter.
Hey dude, I was lost man. But in the process of being in the wrong company nilijipata kwa shida by the way. In high school maze we had a court case Joe. Because there was a lot of incidents in the school I was. There was a lot of incidents of arson na unrest. So, you know, school unrest, strike. We used to call it strike. And kuna zile tulikuwa implicated bro, nikajipata mazee kwa cell. And I remember nikiwa kwa cell budangu akikam, my dad came and he was standing on the other side looking at me. First of all, you know, my dad was a bit hard, so alipiga simu akaambiwa mtu yako ako kwa noma, he's in problems. And my dad was like, it's okay. Wacha akae huko ndani.
Alikuwa na salary
to study. Not so when my dad came, you know, the sacrifices I saw him put in just to help my situation and help my life because you know while we were still going through our case there was another incident that happened in the same school, so it was almost like we were just the victims who were being blamed, but it was a difficult time and I saw what my dad went through in terms of trying to help us and protect us from all that with the other kids, and I saw a time that he was there for me. My dad was there for me, like he was there for me through the whole process. My dad was there. Hiyo ni kitu moja nasema, that one I will never forget because my dad was present. And even before that, when we were in boarding school, because I went to boarding school when I was very young, I think class 5. And my dad would drive from Kericho all the way to Malinilikuwa huko. Sinikuoneshanga huko Tala.
Manze.
My dad would drive just to come and see us and try and bring us some nice things. Like majority of my experience, my dad has been present, like making sure that we are okay, taking care of us. And I used to have that confidence in my dad. Now I see Zeke having the same confidence in me. I'm like, Lord, by your grace, it's possible. But I saw the sacrifices he put in. I saw the effort that my dad put in to help me through that particular process, and even how I went through the process and I came out. And over time, he has really sacrificed a lot. My dad has sacrificed a lot, even to this day. The other day, I remember he usually sends, kutoka Shags, he sends sacks of food for us. Beans, you'll find cowpeas, you'll find maize, vegetables, nini, like from the farm. He would still send them. And he would be like, this man, I mean, gunia mangoes, nini, to this day. And then my dad would send, and he would also say, while he's sending, he'll tell me, no, neza patia so-and-so. And he will remind me of friends and say, patia so-and-so, give so-and-so, like he's that kind of heart. To see him sacrifice, and he might not have much, but how they do it, that even in the little, he would still go ahead and do so much for us. It's something that I will always cherish about him. Unajua there are memories that I will always hold dear with my dad, and I'm trying now, I'm learning, and I'm trying to create those memories with Zeke. It's in the small things, man. We used to go and play. He initiated us into a lot of sports, from tennis to badminton to pool table, darts, swimming.
No comment.
Yeah, and he's the one who initiated us into those things. So we would enjoy those moments with our father a lot. We would enjoy them. Alafu kuna times tulikuwa where he used to the company used to work in walikuwa na clubhouse, so we would have the privilege of going there. Brother, usiongewe tu nyamaza, sikiza story.
Tigoni suburbs.
Yeah. And we would go and we would enjoy those privileges that were accorded to us. But there's a reality check that came upon me, and I think down the road you realize that we were loved and we were respected majority of our lives because of our father's name.
Yeah.
There's certain privileges that came our way because of your father's name.
Absolutely.
Because of your father. So those are things that I will always cherish with him, mana. Hizo ni vitu important sana. Hata vile napenda kubarbecue, hizo ni vitu I learned from him. So, and even my dad alikuwa mse interesting, while he was a manager, he was still in the, unajua hizo days makampuni zilikuwa na football team. Unakumbuka hizo football team za makampuni? Unilever ni buda alikuwa kwa football team bana. Na alikuanga kwanza
Finlays.
Alikuanga number 11 bro, pale mlefty. Ni Zeke ndio pia ni mlefty sasa nimeona my son. My dad alikuwa pale anacheza ball, alikuwa kwa team bana. Imagine anatoka, because he was a manager, alafu anakam pale kwa football na wasa kuchuna chai. Wako team moja bana, na ni manager na leader. It taught me something about him. You see that leadership and that humility. Yeah, interact now. So I think it's something I picked from him.
Yeah.
So even the way I'm doing church and I'm so social with people, I think those are things I picked from him. Being very comfortable with people and like that. I think those are amazing lessons, Manzi.
Wow.
Hey, Joe. Hey, bro. Eh? So now, after tumeongea juu ya mabuda zetu hivyo, in those lessons, what are you applying now? From what do you see? Unajua kuna hiyo pato umeangalia ukaona buda yako alikuwa responsible at your age, na wewe bado kuna vile tu reda haijashika, lakini what are the things ni gani zenye una apply kwa life bro gani?
I think one thing I've learned from my dad is
no sidanganyani, because I know your dad, sasa we have to say
mzae si anajua ataona hii story pia. So
mzae wako na watch YouTube?
No, atawatch at some point, najua of course atataka kuwatch. Yeah, he's those guys may anataka kujua what you are doing, where you are and stuff. So yeah, so I think for me one thing that I've genuinely learned to do is be a good steward. Be a good steward. My dad is those guys who with our Toyota A91, I think it was A91. You could see.
Unakumbuka plate numbers of the specific car?
I remember all my dad's cars, plate by plate.
Plate by plate.
Mpaka wa leo.
Nakumbuka
we had a KUX 449. That was my dad's first.
KAE 742C. Nakumbuka.
As we had a KUX 449.
KUX 449.
Manze. So one thing I realized even in that KUX 449 because ilikuwa zile zinakuwa na tovio pale mbele. Unajongeza design. Ilikuwa na tovio pale mbele. Is that my dad used to ensure that by the mpaka leo baba yangu anapenda gari safi. Mi bado na struggle by the way. Na hapo ndio kila time anazanga manze huwezi osha gari.
Freddy anafaa kusikia hiyo advice.
Manze budangu anapenda gari safi. Budangu anapenda gari safi.
Gari ya Freddy unapata stems za miraa, sijui alikuwa amebeba customer hapo ndani jo.
Manze Freddy
pata nyoyo.
Mungu akusaidie.
Manze Freddy pia hizo manze. So one thing I've realized is that he really takes care of his stuff well.
Yeah.
Like utapata laptop yake ni safi. You will find that like he's neat, like kuna venye he has some order in the way he does stuff. So I think that's one thing I've come to appreciate because me unajua ni ule mtu I'm all over, but him you realize gari ni safi, the way he's kept his things, like he has some car order and he's a good steward in all he has.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I really appreciate. I think also the other thing that I really appreciate with him is the fact that our parents, most of them maybe were raised by absentee dads. So they were raising us from a perspective of where they are doing their best. This is the best they know how to do.
We talk about that, yeah. My grandfather alikuwa ameenda war bana. Alikuwa na fight huko Bahama, sijui wapi, sijui Queen's Rifle.
Wanaenda kupigania Queen.
Manze.
Ni haki hawa zayo walileba. Queen.
So absentee.
Long live the Queen.
Yeah, we're talking about their own experiences, the hardship, eh?
Yeah, so I think for them, you could see they are doing their best. They are doing their best in terms of the fact that maybe that is the best way they know how. Because is this the best way? Manzi kizungu hapo imekuwa ngumu. Sijui nimesema nini but nimesema kitu. But I think beyond that for me is the fact that you realize also he was raised by an absentee dad. You understand?
Yeah.
So he is doing his best. And there are things he's compensating for. And you can see.
And that absenteeism wasn't necessarily because they wanted to. Circumstances sometimes drove them.
Circumstances. Alafu pia wazayo hizo siku pia walikuwa na mambo yao pia.
Because my dad, his own dad, my grandpa, fought in the war for a long time. So they were left to sort of like learn to survive by themselves. My dad alisomea high school Wajir those days.
Garbatula.
60s.
Garbatula.
Ilikuwa na high school fulani, ilikuwa national school.
Ilikuwa Garbatula.
Garbatula. My dad alisomea huko bana. Bro ilikuwa 60s jo. Unaenda huko hivyo.
It was a national school alafu ikakuwa degraded after a while sabi ya mashifta. I remember Garbatula High School. Yeah.
My dad alisomea huko bana. And it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy what they went through. I mean, so the part that you've seen him being very organized and everything is something that you're still also aspiring to and learning from it.
I want to learn. I want my car to be always clean.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I try, but anajua mi hapo na
you're trying,
nangananga.
For you, Gobs?
I think for me, it's the selflessness. And I think it's something I picked up. I just realized how heavy it was just a few months ago. Because your selflessness ilimsaidia kuinteract na watu. Yani, alimit needs za watu without necessarily breaking his back. And then I saw at the point in Epia we were sending him off how it paid back, you know, and how people cherished him. So hiyo kuwa na hiyo roho ya watu, very important, you know. And then the other thing that for me that I'm learning right now is you put your things in order for him. I've picked up a couple of things. Mi nakwaga msafi buda, nda yangu itakuwa safi. But nimelearn even how I handle things. I learned it from him. Msekenda kuoga na bagi kuna products bro. Sijui kuna shampoo ya miguu ya vidole.
Kwa hivyo kuoga kwa ni occasion,
ceremony moja.
Continue. It's a ceremony.
Kuoga ni occasion.
For you,
ceremony.
kuoga ni occasion.
Ni ceremony.
Niko Cumberland huko penye mnapata maji once in a while ama once in a moment.
Saji mnaoga na lake. Watu wanaoga na lake hamwezi compare na watu.
Para ro. Na unasugua nini? Waya pale kwa ile sand ya black.
Kwa jisugua na zile vitu za gunia zile, sio gunia.
Fish. Alafu mnaenda mna fish nayo. Na tunawaletea hiyo fish hapa hivi. So hizo moments za nikiangalia vile alikuwa anajipanga, and then niliona pia leadership yake, yani vile alikuwa anatu raise kwa hao, ana handle vitu. Kesi yote ilikuwa ikiletwa kwake, anaisolve tu na macho, anakuangalia tu hivi na unajipanga buda. Kuna tulikuwa tunaita nyaunyo fulani alikuwa nayo ya CID. Alikuwa kikuchapa moja hivi hautawahi jipata tena kwa hiyo mistake. But hiyo discipline ya kujipanga, discipline ya live within also pia your means, you know. Si ati lazima kuwe na kila kitu ata go,
but you learn to be content.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So those things really stood out for me, and I've picked them over time. Na pia hiyo kukua hands on, that one has sorted
kwanza hapo kwa hands on
deal.
Yeah, but you know, actually it actually goes a long way.
Yes.
That thing about being hands on, and I'm sort of, after serving in men's ministry for quite a while, and it's something I've observed na si kupenda kwa wase wengine. You know, whenever we are doing things like barbecues and stuff like that, unaona saa zingine kuna wanaume hawajui wanafaa kudo nini. Alafu kuna wale wengine wanakuangatua korada, yani wanajua sufuria pale nini. And you know, we see time and time again. And I think an amazing perspective which I learned is some people were never really taught. And you might think it doesn't play a big part. Manze, imagine in this day and age, it plays a big part. Yeah. Unapata wewe ni mwanaume, hata gari kiharibika hujui ku troubleshoot, unajua, hujui ku change tire, haujui hata kama tuko na barbecue, mseta juu nyama inafaa kuwekelewaje, unashikanisha vitu hizo. You realize these are things that the small things that parents did play a big part in teaching you these lessons and everything. And some guys, they never know these things, and I don't blame them, but you see, some of them never really had somebody to teach them these things, bana. So the things that they have taught us, the small things, they actually go in such a long way.
For sure.
Yeah, hiyo kuwa hands on kwanza, unasema kuwa hands on. Unapata kuna wasi wengine wajui hiyo aspect ya kuwa hands on.
Yeah.
So but you see, when you have learned these things over time, or you've been programmed in such a system, si budal tuambia tuache kufuliwa nguo sijui tukiwa class 4. Sasa tuanza kujifulia bro. Tukaanza kujifundisha mapema hivyo, but now I look back and I am really grateful. Like I can be so hands on in the house. If it's a plumbing issue, kama ni issue ya compound, issue ya lighting issue, there's so much that you can actually do, and you owe it actually to the lessons that you learned from your parents.
Yeah. And then, you know, the other thing that pia nikiangalia generation ya saizi wako na a lot of blame games to their parents. Unaona, unasema I'm this way because my dad did this to me, sijui nini, I've never recovered, sijui all that. I mean, those guys tried their best.
And they didn't know best.
You know, and they worked within the scope of the things that they knew. So unapata sometimes ukienda hata social media unaona vile sijui ni kuna boy fulani alikuwa anatukana budake kwa Twitter. So
kuna bitterness.
Kuna bitterness.
But bitterness because I know there are probably parents who failed and everything, but anyway, if you were to be fair, even as you look at yourself, are there areas where people have failed? Because kuna watu wanataka kublame parents wao, but they themselves are also failing in so many different respects. I think it's good to forgive, so that you can actually have a chance to do it right yourself. But if you tackle it with bitterness, it will be very difficult for you to do things any different, because kuna mpatu wali try jo.
Absolutely.
Na pia ukisikia vile walikuwa parented,
ilikuwa mbaya.
Usikie vile pia walikuwa parented, ilikuwa ngumu bana.
Ilikuwa mbaya.
So I think it's good that we cut them some slack, manze.
Manze heshima.
Na uchukutuna hiyo heshima and then now you pick it up from where you are. Unajua you pick it up from where you are and you say
build up from where they've left it ama where they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kuna kitu niliambianga, kama ulipata bike kwenu acha ndudhi, kama uliacha ndudhi kwenu acha gari, kama ulipata gari kwenu unaacha nini?
Sasa umenipea pressure bro.
Chopa. Ukiacha kama ulipata chopa kwenu unapata nini?
Yeah, by the way,
una buy jet. Unasikia sijamaliza chali. Kama ulipata jet kwenu ni nini? Spaceship my friend.
But let me tell you. Alafu unajua leadership role alikuwa na play ilikuwa so vital. Nikiangalia saizi a few days ago I was back at home and almost everything my mother consults me. Unaona? Not ati from ile perspective ya mtoi, but sasa perspective anaona you walked with your father. You must have some information on how to go about these things. I am not going to struggle. So ilini hit tu vizuri ndo nika realize that the moment that father figure is out, you automatically become.
True, man.
That's so true, bana.
Hey.
It's so true. It's so true.
Talk deep, man.
Yeah, because I remember around 2020, my dad was hospitalized with COVID for a while. Do you know my dad is those people go to shags like once every 2 weeks, so things huko zinakuwaga zimepangika. Manze, so he was out for about 3 weeks. So one day I decided to go to shags. Manze, I've never felt so much pressure. You understand?
You went on his behalf.
Yes, I've never felt so much pressure.
It's huge.
And the things we just play, sema mzee anakimbianga ushago. Hapana, manze, maybe he doesn't do things the way you want him to do.
Kuna like, chief lazima uongeleshe.
Can I tell you, me I was manze mpaka even manze the guys work there. Manze kitu ya kwanza ananiambia manze tuachie ka kitu. You can tell wao upeangwa ka kitu na mzae. So manze you have to step in and uachie ka kitu because you were still in hospital.
Yeah.
Manze, and that thing gave me pressure and asked myself, kumbe kitu sio rahisi hivyo. So for me, I think that was a reality check for me. And we appreciate what these people do.
Manze.
Yeah.
Hey, that's nice. That's nice.
Kwanza hiyo umesema hiyo ya chief.
No, you know the things that sometimes we don't value, you realize that they really play a big part in holding society together. So I think these are lessons that we can actually cherish and make a difference out of it. Acha niulize kama kuna parting shot unaweza patiana about your dad. Maybe unaweza, if you were to tell him something. Sometimes, as they say, there's a saying they have, you give people roses while they're alive or something.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Wewe unaanza.
Nimesikia tu watu kiburi.
Wewe unaanza, watu wameanza kushikwa na shida ya pumu. Wewe ndio umeanza.
Unajua kuna ile video Capital FM walifanya on Father's Day. Wakaambia wase ati wapige buda zao simu waambiwe I love you. Wanaume walikuwa na struggle. Ati habari mzuri. Kunaendelea aje mzuri? Ile mabati mlieka, tulieka. Hiyo ni kuku fulani nasikia, ni kuku hizo nasikia hapa kwa nyumba. Yaani msea ana struggle. Haezi ambia buda yake mazee.
Unazunguka sana.
I love you dad.
Ndio kuzunguka mbuyu.
Some people who have never had that chance ya kumwambia tu just I love you. But what would you say, man? Just ni mwachekesha kidogo hapo hivyo ni break ice, msifeel very tense. Gobs tissue ziko bro, kitakulia achilia tu.
Anan tissue si tissue ni anan.
Wewe.
Hakuna product placement hapa buda.
Kumbe hapa
tissue ni hana.
Hiyo ni gani tena jo? Wewe
si nimetoa hiyo nini? Ni sasa cancel. Anzeni buda, mi yangu ni deep.
Ujomfanya hiyo story ya tissue nikakumbuka ile ajalango. Don't peke.
Sanitize.
I think if I was to say something to my dad, I would tell him that at this particular point, if he was never to do anything else, he has done enough. He has done enough. Like, I treasure every sacrifice through the periods where things were difficult. and how he managed to try and be present for all of us. And even for me personally, even when I least deserve it, because there were times I was stubborn. But the sacrifices he made and all the things he has done in this life, I think he has done enough. Even if he was never to do anything else, I think I would never replace him with any other dad. And I would never look for any other kind of a dad. I think he gave me the chance to be the best. And there's one thing my dad once told us. He sat us down and told us, if there's any trophy I've ever attained in this life, any accolade that means the most, it is you, my children. For him to say that I am his greatest trophy, the thing that he celebrates, means that anything else doesn't matter, but his family matters the most. And I think, for me, I would definitely say thank you, Dad, for everything you've ever done. I love you so much. I appreciate you. I honor you, and I pray that God will satisfy your soul beyond what man can ever do, because no money or resources can ever pay you back for what you have done. Only God can, and may he satisfy your life and give you all the fulfillment you've ever desired. Amen.
Amen. Hapo kuna pressure, umeongea kizungu mingi brother, lakini hii kizungu yako
Asiongee Kikamba basi.
Unajua alikuwa nafikiria ngoni ya mlami kitambo.
Ulikuwa nafikiria hivyo?
Kumbe ni ya kujichocha.
Baadhi hata kuna mademo nafikiria mimi ni British wakisikiza radio. Niko tanga pole for good evening. Welcome to Route 104 with me Peter Chalu. This evening blah 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 blah. Hey! Kuna mmoja aliona akasema kumbe ni kamba kafupi.
By the way ukaangi sauti yako.
Manze.
Ukaangi sauti yako. Your voice is bigger. A small man with a big voice. Let us not go there. Anyway.
Budako na watch kitu bana.
Okay, I think for me the biggest thing that I want to tell my dad is that, you know what? You are my dad, and I don't have any other dad. So the thing is, I can't measure your standard. I can't measure you or compare you with someone else. You are my best standard.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever you do, that is the best for me. You understand? And I can't dare to say that, you know what? I can't compare you. Because you know what? You are unique. I'm also a unique son. I know I'm also special. And I think for me, the biggest thing for him is, I'd want to tell my dad is that, you know what, my prayer is that you've done so much, and I believe you are still young. My prayer is that that you live long enough to see your sacrifices pay off, right? For you to see what you gave the society, to see what you've given the world through me. And I pray that God will give you good health. He will sustain you, and will be around to see the fruits of your sacrifice, not only for myself but also for my siblings. And my desire is that you might find fulfillment. I know you really wish good things for us, and my prayer is that you will be able to see them pass in your own eyes. And just to say thank you, and that I love you, and ni wewe tu, hakuna mwingine niko na yeye, and you are my dad, and you remain to be my dad. And I carry your name with pride. People think I'm Muli, but I'm not Muli. Yeah. But you know what? That's your name, and it's a name you gave to me. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'll always carry it with pride, and I'll do my best to bring you pride and whatever I do, by God's grace.
Amazing.
Amen.
Amen.
Mnanipatia pressure mazee. Itabidi nimetoa ogudu.
Jatelo ametoa kofia.
Ongea kwa mic bro.
Naweza kushikia pia. Naweza kushikia mic pia.
Dad, I know it's 1 year, but I still miss you, like deeply. And I miss the friendship we had. I miss your calls. Sometimes nangalianga simu and I don't see his name Jatelo, because you would call me and ask me how's the weather in Nairobi, how's the sunlight, kumenyesha, but constantly angeniuliza about the weather, kumenyesha, si pia tuko sawa, so what are you up to? Okay, what's the plan? You know, I miss those moments. I really, really do miss those moments. I'm not gonna lie, my dad had a lot of impact in me. Yeah, and there are days that you wake up and you just want his phone call, or you just want to talk to him, you know. And there are days that you have to sink to that reality that it was those moments that you had that mattered. I'll tell you what, guys. Man, treasure your fathers. Very important. I miss my old man. Big time, big time, big time, big time. And I still love him. Even though he's not here physically with me, but given a chance and would meet again, I will still tell him that. And I would tell him that it now makes sense for me, what he was going through, everything he did. You know, unajua paro akikuambia tu nafanya hii juu yenu, you don't know how much I sacrifice. You see it as a joke.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you come back with bad grades and then they're like, mtoto. But I'm saying to improve. But the days when unakuja na better grades, my first time nikuja na some very good grades, nilinunua BMX hapo mbaya sana. But above all that, I now understand the reason why they're called fathers. You know, it's not just a title. There's a lot of weight that goes into it. There's a lot of weight. And if they had an opportunity to just open up to, you know, kwambie, hivi ndo system yangu ina run as a parent, as a father, unaweza wambia thanks, not today. But I still miss you. I love you. The person that I am today has been built up by you. I never knew the weight of it until I would get the chief back at home calling me. They say woodwarrior. And those are very huge titles because they say when we see you, we see your father. And I told them those are big shoes I can't step into. But akasema no, you represent your father. And everything that he stood for, we have seen. You're standing for it. Those are just not moments I would take lightly. So if I were to ask for a few minutes, to maybe one day, I could just have that physical touch with him once more. Just once more. Just once more. Yeah, I love you, Papa. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'm taking very good care of your girlfriend.
Of your sweetheart.
Your sweetheart.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Hey, guys, this is a really sobering conversation.
Yeah.
And I pray that it really becomes an inspiration to other people to cherish the privilege they have of knowing their fathers and having time with them. And I know that we will find, we'd love to hear your responses and what you've really picked out of this conversation, because
just before you close, let me just add a scripture to this. I think at times we ask ourselves about fatherhood. There are those who've never had their fathers present in their lives.
Yeah.
But I'd want to read 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 18, which says that, and I'd be a father to you, and would be my sons and daughters to me, says the Lord Almighty. So at times we might be stuck and thinking, what are these guys talking about? They've had an experience with their fathers. But remember what? We have a heavenly Father who is able to do more than what we get from our earthly fathers. Yeah, and my prayer is that everybody will have this experience with their heavenly Father and will just be vulnerable. And we can just be able to experience Him.
There's a
Right.
scripture, There's a scripture even in the book of Psalms that says, even if my mother and my father abandon me, the Lord will pick me up, will take me up. And yeah, it's true. He is indeed faithful. God's fatherhood is the greatest fatherhood that a man can ever experience.
For sure.
And I remember in the book Fight Like a Man by Gordon Dalby, there's a part he says, for us as fathers, it's about time that we introduce our children to the Father of lights, the Father of fathers, who never has a bad day. So that he can know that when daddy has a problem, he can pray to the Father and ask the Father to help his father.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best thing we can ever do. Oh man, it's been
For
real.
sure.
It's been real having this conversation with you guys, bana.
Yes.
Solid conversations mazi.
Manze.
So very
Wanaume wazima wamesema we love you dad."
Zote mboku.
Maza umesema hiyo kitu bro. Sema bana,
Kitu nzito bana.
Yeah. So thank you so much and subscribe.
Shukran. God bless you.
Comment, like, and let us know how this episode has been a blessing to you. Cheers.
Badaye.
Right.